viewers, welcome to Issues at Hand. Hoping you're starting out the week nice. This is Peter Chivazo. We said it's that political season and it gets really hot, sometimes very dirty. I know that since we left here last Friday, by Saturday morning, General Ronda Nyakairima passed on along the morning of Saturday, and well, we pray for the family. We ask for God to make them strong during this period. Today we will talk TDA, and I have the deputy spokesman of the TDA, Sheila Kawamara. Welcome, Sheila.
Thank you very much, Peter. Spokesperson, not a spokesman.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
And good evening, Sheila.
Good evening, Peter.
Right, Sheila, I'll go straight into the talk and TDA. Friday evening, I was expecting my friend Asuman Basalirwa on the show here. And we waited until somewhere in the dead of the nines, almost 10 o'clock, and he said, guys, I'm not making it. We are still in the offices. And the TDA was then receiving John Patrick Amama Mbabazi. He was signing the protocol somewhere around 8:30, 9 p.m., and then being received into the TDA officially at that time. It raised a number of queries, and since then the queries have continued. I know that some of them were possibly addressed yesterday, possibly, and they've continued to be asked. Saturday, a wave of a rumor hit town that indeed you had, as TDA, already agreed and settled on John Patrick Amama Mbabazi as your candidate, and the rest was really musical chairs. It was a fait accompli. Yesterday, there was a furore in town. The FDC is leaving. They can't take it anymore. We need to get to you. Sheila, what is actually happening with the TDA? Is it hanging on a loose string that is about to break?
Thanks, Peter. I don't think TDA is hanging on a loose string. All the parties that signed the protocol of TDA are aware of the modalities of how TDA is going to operate. And part of those are what they have signed up to. TDA is supposed to come up with a joint presidential candidate, and that joint presidential candidate is going to be chosen by consensus. Yes, true, Honorable Amama Mbabazi did sign the protocol on Friday night, and there were a number of things that he Mbabazi himself asked for more time to study the protocol. We should appreciate that Mbabazi is a latecomer. These discussions for TDA and working together as a team, it has been going on since 2012. And Mbabazi was not part of the team. So he had to be given some bit of more time. The summit did give him that benefit of doubt and the time to study the protocol and agree to it, rather than rushing him through something which maybe he would be uncomfortable with certain clauses. And the entire summit did agree, all the members of the summit, where political parties are represented, pressure groups are represented, and also eminent persons. So there is nothing like, when we are in TDA, there is nothing like we are being rushed into doing certain things. Because right now, the National Candidates Committee has been vetting the various candidates that have shown interest to stand as presidential candidates backed by the TDA. Among them, we have Honorable Amama Mbabazi, who was the last to come in on board. We have retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besigye. We have Honorable Norbert Mao. We have
Professor Gilbert Bukenya.
Professor Gilbert Bukenya. All of them aspiring to be supported by the alliance, the Democratic Alliance. And all these individuals in their own respective capacities as either representing pressure groups, as independents, and also as representing their political parties, they are going to be vetted, and they have been vetted by the National Candidates Committee. And these names are going to be presented to the summit, which starts its retreat tomorrow. This summit is going to run for the retreat is going to run for 3 days, the retreat of the summit. And for those 3 days, they are going to critically look at the different candidates. The different candidates, of course, will be also represented by their own parties and the respective pressure groups. And
they shall not attend?
Possibly they will attend. I'm not yet so sure, but possibly. But if they are being discussed, definitely they may not be in the meeting because it could be biased. But the summit is going to critically look at the report that has been compiled by the candidates committee. And so saying that Amama Mbabazi automatically becomes the preferred candidate is, to me, not a reality.
Sheila, before I even get into who is the preferred candidate, let's just get the elephant out of the room. The candidate selection committee. Is it headed by Honorable Nua Manyamsheda?
No.
Is he a member of it?
He's a member of it, but it is chaired by Honorable Okello Okello.
That candidate selection committee was the cause of the furore and all the mad in town. A report that they are supposed to have produced for the summit leaked to the media. And it has rankings. And their rankings were found suspect by a lot of people out there, myself inclusive. And this is the ranking. They have John Patrick Amama Mbabazi ranked as #1 in whatever criteria they used. Then they have Professor Gilbert Baliba Sekabukenya as #2. They have Norbert Mao as 3. And very interestingly, Kizza Besigye is #4. And this came on the heels of particular comments that had been made. And none of this is possibly personal, but it was very interesting that it came on the heels of particular comments that had been made about the candidature of Kizza Besigye by Amanya Mshega. And people asked, could these comments have influenced this report? Is this report what the summit is going to base on to return a candidate? Is this a report that the people shall take to Sheila?
Peter, unfortunately, I'm not, I haven't looked at the report. Really, I've not, I'll be honest with you, I've not seen that report you're referring to. So I cannot even comment about it. So if a report came out, I know I've read about and I've heard about it. I heard about it on radio as I was driving. And I was like, but the candidates committee is sitting right now, because I was at the TDO offices the whole of today. And I recall they finished their meeting around 4 or 4:30. And I had had the news at around midday.
They had had an earlier sitting.
So I'm not aware of the report, but I'm aware that tomorrow the summit will be sitting. I will be in attendance. So I'm really not, I wouldn't comment on something I haven't seen. It would be really dishonest on my part.
Do you think that the people have a cause to worry about this process?
I think there is a lot of...
For those of us that are not part of the summit, for those of us that are not part of the candidate selection committee, do people have a reason to worry?
I think there is a lot of excitement, including even ourselves. We would want to see, because you cannot imagine that people will be rushed into taking a decision. These are rational people. The members of the summit, some of them are truly, they have been around for some time. I respect them as eminent persons, as people who have served our country in different capacities. So I would really think that everybody's anxious. I would be anxious if I had any of the candidates, if I was supporting any of the candidates. But again, I am anxious because I would wish to see for the first time, can we as Ugandans agree on a single candidate? Can we go above our personal egos and put our country first and say, in case, if these leaders are honest, that they appended their signatures and said, in case I will agree to support a candidate chosen by the Joint Alliance, then the anxiety shouldn't arise, because whoever carries the flag, they all said if it is Norbert Mao who they zero on, then we shall support Norbert Mao. If it is Kano Kizza Besigye, then it will be Kano Kizza Besigye. If it is Honorable Mama Mbabazi, because they all agreed to that arrangement. So the anxiety is uncalled for, but at the same time, we agree that we are all humans. Whenever there is anything to be anxious about, it's true, we get anxious.
Sheila, is the TDA a legal person?
The TDA, yes, it's legal because it's provided for under the Political Organizations Act, that political parties and interested people can decide to form an alliance to contest for power.
Is that alliance registered anywhere as a legal person?
It wouldn't register because the political parties are registered entities.
Therefore, would the position of TDA hold against the position of the individual political parties?
I think it is, when you agree to work together, it is an agreement. And agreements are legal, I think. I don't want to go into legal.
Yesterday, a lawyer friend of mine challenged and said, as far as he's concerned, the mandate of each political party is derived from their, if it were a company, it would be members, but these ones, their constitution and the delegates conference. And he was using the FDC as an example. He said members of the FDC National Delegates Conference sat in Nambole and instructed the one Kizza Besigye to go and carry their flag into the presidential race and said, you're our candidate. If Kizza Besigye wants to forfeit that flag, he would have to go back to the delegates of the FDC and report back.
But again, I'm aware that when they were meeting in Nambole, they did present the case. And it's not that it is Kizza Besigye agreeing to work with TDA.
Yes.
It is the FDC. The president of FDC, by signing the protocol, he committed FDC. And the delegates conference is aware that FDC is a member of the Democratic Alliance. So there is no question about it that Kizza Besigye, Dr. Kizza Besigye can simply say, okay, I'm no longer, I don't want to play as an individual. I think it is a party position. They assented to the protocol as a political party, not as individuals.
Do the political parties, in this particular case, forfeit their position and right as political parties to the TDA?
By signing the protocol, yes.
But the TDA cannot sponsor a candidate, can it?
TDA is really, it's an agreement to work together. Let's work together.
It's a conversation. It's I don't want to call it something else, but it's a conversation over possibly a cup of tea, and we say,
no,
okay.
it's not a conversation over a cup of tea. It's not something that came out overnight to say that today we are coming up to overnight, let's come out with something. No, there were a lot of discussions, there were a lot of negotiations, there was a lot of back and forth arrangements that culminated into TDA. It was not something that was done overnight.
Sheila, let's look at the summit. It's about 26 people. Am I right?
Possibly that.
Yes. How representative is this 26 people of the different spectrum of thinking across this country? Will the people of Kalungu in Masaka, the people of Mitoma, the people of Aru feel represented by the position of these 26 tomorrow on Friday if they woke up and said Gilbert Bukenya, Norbert Mao, Kizza Besigye, Amama Mbabazi is the candidate for the presidency in Uganda?
I think, true, the people of Kalungu will feel represented because if the people of Kalungu do subscribe to the UPC or to the Democratic Party, which is a member, in the summit, we have the national party president of the different political parties. Then you have the national chairman of those political parties. And then you have the flag bearer. And then there are also the eminent persons, people that are trusted, people We have religious leaders, people that have been working to ensure that our country is restored to a democracy. That we build a culture of democratic engagement. We build a culture where we have respect for each other, respect for diverse opinions, so that we are able to appreciate each other. And then people begin negotiating the system, the type of system they want to be governed in, rather than a system where you are either coerced, you are either intimidated, you are either told lies of what will be provided, and you can't engage with the leaders. I think it is, to me, it is a great foundation that we are laying for the future.
Viewers, I'm taking a break. When I return from the break, we will interrogate the difference between the TDA and the coalition of Kikosi Maalum, Fronasa, and all the other fighting groups around 1979 that delivered us into the 1980 elections finally. Within a year of their holding power in Kampala, we had run over about 5 presidents and finally been delivered to the 1980 elections that brought Dr. Robote. Are these people already fighting at sea before they are delivered across the Nile, or the Red Sea as it were? Are they any different from the seating? Because what Professor Dani Wadada Nabdere and the others have been accused of is they were extremely elitist, working around the political group. When I think about my friends, Sheila Kawamara, Dr. Bishop Zach Nirinji, Godba Tumshabe, my friend Imam Kasozi, Dr. Abbas Kimba, I'm thinking, okay, shouldn't these guys be actually seated in a lecture room somewhere in Makerere and developing policy? Are they cut out for what they are setting out to do? Don't go away.